So, Nick, thank you for coming as well.
My pleasure.
And,
good to be here.
I know when this book stopped, first came into the store, I was a bit skeptical because we get so many books on how to fix things and the right way to look at things. So I knew your comings, well, so I thought, well, I have to read it. And I'm glad to say that I was really shocked and amazed at how readable it was, how interesting the characters were, the quality of the work you've done, everything else. So
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thanks so much.
So just to begin, I know that in 1998 you became the executive director of Stock, which is an urban freeway, and very shortly thereafter I think you realized there had been a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what was there in your past history that contributed to your insight, and what needed changing?
Well, I mean, it was pretty clear from the first day I got there that the long lineups out the back door and fluorescent lights that were flickering on and off, the paint falling off the wall, things needed to change. But, I mean, I had grown up in a very progressive home. My parents were very involved in liberations for Southern Africa. I was born in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam. My dad was a prof at the University of East Africa. My mom was doing her MA. And then I lived in Mozambique as well at the same time that the fight for just after independence in Mozambique, but when apartheid was fully on in South Africa. So, I had this politics in my upbringing that needed to find a place to come out. And aside from baseball and basketball and crazy sports talk around the table, we talked about politics all the time. And my parents have been involved in progressive politics for a long time, and it's I think, a bit in my DNA. So it came out through working in the nonprofit sector, and I've worked with local communities for many, many years prior to getting to the stop in '98. Well, I was born in '66. Can I say that on camera? So we lived there for 6 or 7 years before we moved back. My folks are from Toronto, and then when I was 15, I missed my grade 10 year. The whole family picked up and went to Mozambique, and that was an incredible experience. I mean, I was kind of, in spite of the progressive politics, I was a very middle-class kid, took everything for granted. And when I went to Mozambique, it was like, what, if you turn on the tap, water doesn't come out? Or if you go to the market, there's not abundant food? And so I came back a very changed fellow in many ways.
Number two, Stop has become an incredible nexus for innovation.
No problem.
From teaching courses on maternal health, cooking, and gardening. How did you manage this change, especially considering the fact, and this is what I was really amazed at, you had so many people under your umbrella who had to change the minds of or please from users, staff, volunteers, board members, and corporate sponsors.
Right. Well, I think I talked earlier about how things need to change, and it was fairly self-evident that the center that had been before was not meeting the needs of the community, and the needs were very, very deep. And it's a very simple thing, really. And I'm shocked that more organizations don't start from this premise that you just ask the community what it needs. The basic thing. I think we need to listen a lot more. And in those early years, we spent a lot of time listening. And people said those lineups and the fluorescent lights and the paint falling off the wall weren't doing it, and the food. I mean, I haven't even talked about the quality of the food. It was essentially fat, sugar, and salt. And for a community that was suffering under all sorts of stresses, including a full range of diabetic illnesses, we knew it had to change. So listening, to make a very long story short, because it has been a 14-year journey, and it continues to go forward under new leadership there. But people were clear they wanted to be gardeners and cooks and engaged citizens and volunteers, and they wanted to be active in their community, and they wanted to see the way we talk about it, the power of food be about skills and health and pleasure and joy and sustainability and all these amazing things that food can do. So we just started with that very simple idea that if we listened, our community would respond and tell us what they needed. And it's been this kind of relentless incrementalism over many years, trying to develop programming that responded to the needs of the community. Community kitchens, and community gardens, and perinatal health, and really good drop-in meal programs, and fresh market stands. And you might walk in and get involved in a campaign around increasing social assistance. So yeah, it was, listening is the way it starts.
All right, so I can tell that people are crucial to this talk.
Yeah.
So can you give us some insight into your hiring and interviewing policies?
Oh boy, I think it's more art than science, but you're right. It's all about, I mean, I'm a big believer in relationships, to build relationships. The organization, when I got there in 98, was very much about transaction. You stood in a line, you got to the front of the line, you got handed a hamper of food, and you kept your eyes on the floor all the time, and you really had to check your humanity at the door before you walked in. And so we started to say, through listening, that let's develop relationships. And when you start to develop relationships and a sense of trust with community members, they start to speak. And I'm a big believer that two key ingredients to individual and community change are hope and self-worth. And you have to create really generous spaces that allow people to find their voices on the issues that matter most to them. And so whether it was, I mean, you started by asking about hiring. I mean, we always wanted to hire people who didn't necessarily come out of a social service program of George Brown or Humber or something like that. We wanted to hire people who were political, who were empathetic, who saw their work in the grander scheme of social change rather than service delivery. And so, yeah, we were quite tough at trying to find those kinds of people. And we also wanted to have volunteers that weren't there just because they wanted to help the needy. They were there to help transform a community and to be leaders in speaking out about some of the structural reasons that people were vulnerable in the first place, like inadequate social assistance, low minimum wages, lack of affordable housing, and on and on. And the board was terrific in just giving me some space to change the organization. And so, yeah, it really is about people. And it was bittersweet to leave in August, because I left in this last August, because there are so many great people from staff and board and community members that made that journey that I was on for a long time really sad.
Thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure, and congratulations on the bookshelf. My sister, as you know, runs an independent bookstore in Toronto, and I mentioned it's not for the faint of heart. And it's what a stunning space you've built, and community. That's what it's about. You know that better than anyone. So, congrats to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Great.